Hey, good morning. It's Monday, 3:41 a.m. on my way to the gym, physically getting in shape, getting my body right. Conversation with Ricky yesterday, and I asked her, did she understand the concept, or what was her outtake on reinventing yourself? So we had a pretty interesting conversation about what it meant, and two people that came to mind when I thought of reinventing who they were was 50 Cent and Tony Robbins. 50 Cent came out with this physique that was unusual for a rapper, um, talking about things that were relevant to pretty much street culture. Then you have Tony Robbins, who is this 18 foot giant with this deep, graspy voice and just freakish. At one point, who was a little overweight and turned into this very well defined, very well spoken individual, and they redefined who they were. It's not who they began, it's probably who they always were, and the butterfly, or the however the butterfly uh, was able to turn into its original self. But I had a lot of time to think this weekend, and I think that's good. You should always give yourself a little bit of space in between what you're doing and what you're thinking and what you need to be doing, which goes along with what you're thinking, in order to come to a better understanding about where you're headed. And there's three things that need to be put in priority. I don't care who you are, what you think you are, but you need to know where your faith is. You need to know what order your family is, and then you need to know what order your health is, and then you need to know what order your business is. And you need to know what, I think I said three, but four. You need to know where all three of these fall at in your life, because I'm a firm believer without an idea about where you're going, you're headed nowhere, absolutely nowhere. And I think I've been able to organize mine to a point where I'm not missing out on anything, because business has always been very important to me. But faith, if you think about it in terms of NASCAR, there's some things coming up ahead of it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it takes a back seat. It just means that everything flows in a natural progression of what it is that you truly want in your life. If it's business, then business will truly flow, and everything else will flow as a result of that. It's only when you try to deny yourself whatever the true flow of your transition is that things start getting a little bit twisted in turmoil, if you may. But the thing that I really wanted to touch on was, during some of my time of thinking, was my wife. We are always moved to be with somebody. We're put in a position to love this person. And for one reason or another, and I think there's two reasons why something goes wrong. One is we have an expectation of what that other person should be doing based off of what we feel like we're giving into it. And when you have an expectation without a signed contract, then you just have bullshit. Then I think the other thing is we just stop trying. But what I thought about my wife, and I'll cut to the chase, was it's so easy to put more emphasis on what somebody does not do, what somebody comes up short in, and what somebody is failing to provide for you, than it is to expound, to revel in, to contemplate on what they do absolutely great. I heard somebody say that it's easier to be negative than it is to be positive. And I've caught myself doing it. It's easy for me to critique what's wrong versus giving a pat on the back for what you did right. And these are the same people that you loved at one point in time. So where did it go left if it wasn't that you may have possibly had an expectation that was never discussed? an expectation of, I did for you, now you do for me, and understanding. I'm not a marriage counselor, I'm far from it. My mother and father been divorced. I done seen multiple dysfunctional relationships in my life. But I had to think about that. Giving my wife, my family, the benefit of the doubt when it comes to expounding on what it is that they're great at would empower them, would empower me, more than me trying to think about what they don't do right, which is the easiest thing. And for some reason, us as humans, we always like to take the easiest route. God bless. Take care.